What's going on, everybody? My name is Clay, founder of Hiring Brokers. Today, I'm going to be going over 3 really quick tips on how to drastically and immediately improve your resume so that you can stick out against your competition and obtain that dream career. Tip number 1, not having a clean, concise, and professional design and format. Folks, let's be honest. First impressions are everything in the resume space. A recruiter spends on average 6 seconds reviewing a resume before making a decision to proceed with yours or to throw it out in favor of your competition. Folks, the design and the format are the very first impression that you give them. Now, I completely understand the desire to stand out against your competition, but believe me, the design and the format is not the place to stick out. So don't add pictures of yourself. Don't add crazy background images of flowers. Don't add charts. Don't add graphs. Don't add crazy fonts, font colors. You want it as clean and simple as possible. And I have to say this, don't add emojis, guys. I've seen it before. Folks, keep in mind that the resume is a professional document. And the last kind of first impression you want to leave for them is that you're trying to overcompensate for areas that you otherwise lack in, such as experience, qualifications, integrity. You just don't want to do it. Because ultimately, the only thing that the employer cares about is, do you not only meet the qualifications for the job in question, but are you going to exceed in such a way that benefits the company? Here's another problem with bad formatting, is that you typically have 4 entities involved in the hiring process. You have the screener, you have the recruiter, you have the hiring manager, you have the applicant tracking system. This means 4 links in the chain that will likely break your fancy formatting. Let's say you create your resume in a word processor other than Microsoft Word, and you save it in a .text file format. And you send it to the screener, who is viewing it on their phone, who then sends it to the recruiter, who then saves it in a .pdf file format, who then sends it to the hiring manager, who is using an outdated version of Microsoft Word. Or the applicant tracking system doesn't recognize your abnormal sized line spacing or margins. So by the end of it, your non-standard margins caused your resume to be completely butchered. Your bullet points are all spread out all over the place, and it just throws your entire resume off. It's completely not the way that you intended it to be, does not look good at all, and you spent all that time perfecting your resume for nothing. You can see how this can easily be screwed up. With all the links in the chain, it's just much better to stay as clean and concise as possible. So make sure that you start your resume in a brand new, clean Microsoft Word document so that all the defaults are in place. So for font size, I always recommend 10 to 12 font. For titles and stuff like that, you can sometimes go up to like 14, 16, but it's just generally safe, to stay small and as minimalist and clean as possible. For margins, again, defaults, you can sometimes increase them a little bit, but again, just for formatting purposes, I always recommend just sticking with the defaults. Font color, always do black. Sometimes people do blue for like titles and stuff like that, but again, always recommend black. Font, again, it's just always safe to go with the defaults. I typically always use Times New Roman or Calibri, which is the Microsoft Word default font. For file format, I always save in .docx, which is the Microsoft Word default file format, and .pdf. Tip number 2, not having enough quantitative data. So the reason you want to have as much quantitative data in your resume as possible is so that you can further reinforce and convey the message to your future employer that you gained a lot of experience and you are very qualified for the position that you are interviewing for. You want to make sure that you're staying away as much as possible from generalities. Now, the biggest way that you can stand out on a resume is to write facts and statistics from your previous work experience that are relevant to the job for which you are applying. I see all the time people writing generic, basic, boring, and dry resumes that nobody wants to read. They get tossed out in the first 2 seconds. And I'll elaborate more on this in my third point, but I think this stems a lot from people writing one resume that they then plan to send out to multiple different employers within the same industry. And this is absolutely not the way that you want to do it. You want to make sure you're writing a new and fresh resume specifically tailored to that specific employer with their specific qualifications so that you can pull from your previous work experience and quantitate your previous successes in a way that demonstrates you are the perfect candidate that they're looking for. So what exactly do I mean by quantitating your previous successes? This means using facts, numbers, statistics as much as possible to further reinforce your previous work experience and your qualifications. Let's say, for example, you have two candidates for the same position. One of them on their resume says increase sales. The other one on their resume says did $2 million in sales, increasing company revenue by 3%. Or person A on their resume has managed employees, whereas person B has successfully managed and guided 24 employees in developing new IT network for 3 Fortune 500 clients. Again, from the employer's perspective, which one do you think is going to get the interview? The one that's basic, boring, and dry and that everyone is doing, or the one that sticks out, is specifically tailored to the job and demonstrates their previous successes? Tip number 3, and this is the most important one. I see people making this mistake all the time, but write the resume about your potential employer and not about you. This is what you need to understand. The resume is actually extremely simple. It is nothing other than an advertisement. Yes, it's an advertisement about you, but it is directed towards your consumer, who in this case is your potential employer. You are selling yourself. Ever heard the saying, the customer is always right? Well, let's take a very quick moment to discuss what makes a good advertisement. Let's just use YouTube, for example. Whenever you go to the homepage, you're faced with all these videos and you decide to click on and view certain videos versus others. This is because these videos bring you some sort of value, whether it's something that interests you, you're just bored and killing time, it's some sort of hobby that you're into, or it's something that benefits your life. Shout out to this channel. The point is, you don't watch videos for the benefit of the producer, you watch videos for the benefit of you. People consume things because it brings them some sort of benefit, it brings them some sort of value. Now, the thing you need to understand is that for the interview process, the employer does not care about you. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about anything other than what sort of value you bring to the table and how you can benefit them and their company. I see people making this mistake all the time. They write their resume about them when it is 100% the opposite, and it should be about the employer. But Clay, how do I know what type of value the employer is looking for? I'm so glad you asked. It's extremely easy. In every job description, they list the exact type of qualifications, the type of experience, the type of personality, the exact ideal candidate that they're looking for. So build your resume around exactly what they're looking for. Now, does this mean that you should be writing a new resume for each and every job that you apply for? Yes, 100%. You need to be writing a new resume that is tailored specifically to each and every job that you apply to, because it's going to resonate with that consumer more so than if you just send them a generic, basic resume that everybody else is doing. Now, of course, it sucks writing a new resume for each and every job that you apply to. I mean, who honestly wants to sit around writing resumes all day other than me? But keep in mind, your competition is going to be going through this same dilemma, and they're not going to write the resume. They're just going to send the same generic, basic, boring, dry resume to the employer. To your employer, you want to make sure that you stand out as the Lamborghini in a world of Honda Civics. You need to sell yourself at every moment of the hiring process. From the moment you send your application to the first day on the job, you need to have the confidence that your employer can stop their job search because they found the perfect employee in you. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you learned something. If you took some sort of value from this video, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe and help us grow. We're going to be trying to upload at least 3 of these, equally informative videos per week. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, definitely leave them in the comments. And if you were ever in need of like resume writing, cover letter writing, LinkedIn, stuff like that, those are services that we provide. Just check out our website, hiringbrokers.com. And other than that, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Look forward to seeing you in the next video, and take care. Thanks.